Hey, Disc Golf Answer fans. We're going to interview Chris Clemons and Rebecca Cox. But before we get into that interview, I wanted to tell you guys about something that I am super excited about. As you know, me and Eric started this podcast a few years ago, and now we have Robert McCall. And we are this is one of the projects within Dynamic Disc that we really, I mean, I love all my work that I do here, but this is something that I just really get into, and I really like it. It's the podcast. Well, a while back, we had T-shirts put out, and they sold pretty good. I finally was able to convince Jeremy to let us do another run of Disc Golf Answer Man T-shirts. And we got them in 3 different colors. We got them in a black heather, a military green, and a steel blue. They look awesome. It would mean so much to me if you guys were to go to the dynamicdisc.com page and go to the Disc Golf Answer Man section and purchase a shirt to show you love the show just as much as we love putting it together. If you do that, buy a shirt, take a picture, post it on your Facebook page or post it on Twitter somewhere, somehow get my attention, a picture of you wearing the shirt, and I might send you out some extra goodies. Get a hold of you and we can send you some extra goodies because I'm super stoked and super excited about these shirts. So anyway, let's now get into the regular show and the interview with Chris and Rebecca. Hey everybody, it's Bobby Cool, Daddy Slick Breeze, and we have another special team player interview episode. It seems to happen every year when the disc golf season starts to kick off. We get a lot of visits from some of the team players. They want to come check out some of the new discs. They want to pick up their allotment, get themselves ready for the new disc golf season. And we have 2 more with us here. We have Rebecca Cox, who is from Team Latitude 64, and Chris Clemons, who is from Team Dynamic Discs. First of all, Rebecca, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for having me today.
That's awesome. And you, Chris?
I am doing awesome as always. I love Emporia.
You love Emporia, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Even the cold weather?
Not so much, but it's the sun shining, so it's cool.
It's shining right now, but it is 35 degrees, so I don't know that I want to stay out there very long. It looks inviting, like you want to go play, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
Now, Rebecca, you came straight here from Cincinnati?
Yes, I left at midnight.
What's the weather in Cincinnati right now?
It's about the same.
Oh, really? Nice and cold?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you are coming, both of you, I'm assuming, like I said, coming here to pick up some of your allotment, get ready for the touring season and stuff like that. Is there anything particular about 2018 that you're really excited about, looking forward to?
I am looking forward to the Vegas tournament.
Really?
That was one of my favorite tournaments from last year.
Yeah. Now, why do you like it?
I really liked the course layouts that they had. The end of the course was my favorite. I just had a lot of fun, and it was like my first big tournament of the year. So it was like, me experiencing all these new things at the same time. So I'm looking forward to going back and kind of doing better than I did last year.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like the Vegas and the Memorial kind of feels like a reunion. Like you haven't seen your friends and stuff for a while, and now all of a sudden all these touring players come together and they get to say hi to each other like that. Anything particular sticks out for you, Chris?
Well, I've never been to Vegas. I've never been to the Memorial, and so I'm looking forward to both of those as well. And playing in some warm weather. Seeing everybody again, playing with all my friends. And I have relatives who live in Vegas.
Oh,
and
nice.
so I'm going to stay with them for a week. So it's going to be awesome. I'm excited for the season.
Very nice. Well, let's kind of get to let people get to know you guys a little bit better. Now, Rebecca, you in 2017, you played 24 tournaments.
Yes.
I see. And in fact, you includes a 3rd place finish at Brent Hambrick and a 2nd place finish at the Tennessee State Championships.
Yes, sir.
So that's awesome. So, but take us back to when it all first started with you in disc golf. How did you discover disc golf, and how did you come to the decision that you wanted to make disc golf more a part of your life?
Well, my dad has been playing for a very long time, since before I was born. So when I was 8 years old, that's when he started teaching me how to play. So I started when I was 8, and then when I graduated high school, I played throughout all those years. I kind of took a 2-year hiatus to go to college and kind of figure out what I wanted to do. But then I thought, why don't I try disc golf and try and do that full time? So last year was my first year on tour. Tried to hit as many tournaments as I could, and I really liked it, and I'm going to try and do it again this year and make a career out of it.
Now, how long did you play before you really got into like the tournament scene and it's like playing in tournaments?
Well, I kind of have always been playing in tournaments.
Okay.
Because my dad, where I started playing in Cincinnati, there were like junior course challenges and stuff like that. So he kind of prepared me for playing in tournaments and stuff at an early age.
Yeah, that's nice. Now, in your area in Cincinnati, how many courses do you have that are like fairly close to you? You have quite a bit out there?
Yeah, there's actually Mount Airy is about 15 minutes tops from where I live. That's actually where one of my sponsors is.
Nice.
Placed at the Natty Disc Golf. Yeah.
Oh, yep. That's awesome.
But yeah, that's probably one of my favorite courses from home is Mount Airy, and there's Banklick and.
Now, what's a course for you that's out in your area? That course that like it's a beautiful Saturday. You're like, I'm going to go play, and I want to play this course. What is that course?
I'd probably say Banklick.
No.
I like Banklick.
Why is that?
Well, I guess it's not called Banklick anymore, but Lincoln Ridge in northern Kentucky.
Okay.
It's always been one of my favorite courses. I played on it when I was a kid.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's just nice going back, and it has elevation. And it's just a lot of good holes, and I don't know. It's just nostalgic, I guess.
I get it. That's cool. Yeah, I like that. Now, Chris, how about you? Let's see. You played back to the wrong place. I'm looking at my sheet. 28 tournaments in 2017 includes a third place finish at the 2017 GBO and a first place finish at the 2017 Four States Open. So you played a lot of tournaments as well.
I did. I think I played like twice as many as I've ever played in a season last year.
Really?
Yeah, it was just, I just wanted to play a lot. You know,
well, you did,
and I had success at the beginning of the season, so I think that kind of it drove me to want to play more and more and play bigger and bigger tournaments.
Awesome. Well, tell us how it first started for you, though. Take us back to the first time you saw a disc or you picked up a disc and threw it, and tell us what
honestly,
happened.
I don't remember the first time I played, but I do remember it was like 2005 or 6, my senior year of high school, and I had a friend who had played quite a bit, and he invited me and a couple buddies to go out there, and so we played and stuff, and I played basketball and baseball at the time, and so I was like, this is fun, you know, but this is really hard. I was just awful at it. I'd never thrown a Frisbee before. I'd never done anything like that, so I was pretty bad. I remember shooting 20 over par, you know, the first year I was playing and stuff, but eventually I kind of played more and more, and then we all got into it, and we all caught the bug. We started, you know, playing every single day after school, everything like that. And then I played kind of off and on for a couple years. I moved to Arkansas and went to college, and I moved back to Joplin, Missouri, and I started to play a little bit more. And then I met people, and they invited me out to a league. They're like, we have league on Tuesdays, come play. And so I did that and started to get a little better. Then they're like, hey, man, we're playing this C-tier tournament, you know? So I did that, and I kind of fell in love with like the competitive side of disc golf, and I started to have success in the advanced division. I just jumped straight into advanced because I've been playing for a couple years.
Yeah.
And so I was decent, but I remember the first year or so, I really didn't win any tournaments, anything like that. I would finish, you know, top 5 usually. Yeah. I was consistent, but it took me a while to like learn how to win. You know, I think learning how to win is an important thing you can do. And then I got better and better, and I finished 4th in AM Worlds here in Emporia. I think it was 2013. And so when I did that, I was like, yeah, I think I can be good at this thing. So then I jumped into the pro division and started playing that. And yeah, here I am today.
Now, when you jumped into the pro, when you went from AM to pro, okay, so of course you've done really well in AM. Did you was there a feeling like you didn't think you were as good as you thought you were? Or did you realize that jumping into pro was helping or hurting you? Or talk us through that.
I mean, I would play at bigger tournaments. I would kind of play advanced, you know, A tiers, majors, stuff like that. The Kansas City Wide Open, I think I played advanced back in 2012 or 13. But the local tournaments and even non-sanctioned local tournaments, a lot of my friends or people who I normally competed against in those advanced tournaments, they were playing open. So we all just kind of did it together. And I got more experience, you know, playing with better players. And then I just started playing, you know, sanctioned C tiers and the open division, had success doing that. So then I was kind of like, well, I can't like go back to advanced, you know, like I just need to be playing open.
So Chris, you're called the best lefty in the game, the best lefty in the world.
Well, I would say top rated. It's hard to say. It's hard to say the best because I mean, me and like Austin Turner, Devin Owens, Zach Melton, we're all like very close together, you know, and so it's hard to say the best. I mean, I'm top rated at this time, so you never know what could happen.
So, but as a lefty, when you first started to get into the game, did you find that was made it a little more difficult trying to find the right disc for you, or?
I've played a lot of sports my whole life, so I think being left-handed, like I didn't really look at it as a disadvantage or an advantage. I mean, some holes it was an advantage, but I never threw forehand when I started. I only threw backhand, but I played baseball, so I throw a lot of thumber shots, and those are kind of what I would use if I needed to go left a little bit or something. But I had to learn how to throw turnover shots quite a bit more, and especially on my home course in Joplin, Missouri. Most people that I played with were the right-handed, so it's like 300-foot hyzers for righties. And so I either had to throw a thumber or I would have to throw a turnover shot or something straight at it. So I feel like the way that I learned how to throw was a little bit different. I throw kind of low, flat, hard stuff. But then the better I've gotten, I've learned how to throw bigger hyzers and stuff like that. And now I throw forehands. So, I mean, I feel like once you kind of get to the top level, and a lot of the top pros, they have good forehands and backhands. So I don't really think there's a huge advantage one way or the other. But if we're playing a course and there's some lefty shots, you'll definitely hear about it. All the lefties do. This is a lefty course, you know?
Yeah. How do you feel about that when people say it's a lefty course?
I mean, I'll usually be like, yeah, people tell me that, but you know, why didn't I play very well there? Or something like that. Or I'll just say, yeah, I make it look like a lefty course. You know, I'll just joke around with it. It doesn't bother me. My entire life, people have been making fun of me for throwing with the wrong hand. So I take it in stride.
That's awesome. So Rebecca, how has it been learning the new discs?
It has had its difficulties.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's the most difficulty I've had is the disc that I'm throwing in my bag now. They're a lot faster than what I'm used to.
Okay.
And a lot of the drivers are low speed stable.
Okay.
Which I really like, but it's also difficult for me to really get to know my bag, and especially since it's been cold out, I don't really have
I don't have a lot of time to get out there and throw and stuff. What's give me like 3 molds that you really are liking so far?
My favorites so far has been the Ballista,
okay,
the Trespass, and the Escape.
Those are really good ones. Now, what do you have? What do you have for your putter? Have you decided on a putter yet? I don't know. That's gonna be.
I have decided on a putter. I'm actually putting with a Classic Blend Deputy.
Oh, the Deputy.
Yes.
Deputy is a nice one. I myself use the Deputy, and I love the Deputy. Absolutely. Now, to use it just for your putting putter, or also like a throwing putter as well?
I have a throwing one and putting ones.
They're both Deputies, though.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got you. Very good. Let's see if we can jump in with a few questions that people sent in and the I can't even talk. Disc Golf Answer Man Facebook group. So a couple people want to know, what are your hobbies outside of disc golf?
My hobbies, I like to hike and kind of be outdoors. You know, I have a hammock and stuff, so I like to do a lot of things like that. I also play video games fairly avidly, especially in the winter months when it's cold. You know, it gets cold at 5 p.m. or gets dark at 5 p.m. So it's like kind of impossible to be outside and enjoy that. But other than that, yeah.
So what video games? Like, are you playing the role-playing games, or?
Right now I'm playing Fortnite. It's pretty popular. Like Jordan Castro, he plays it a lot.
Is it the one where you get like a group of people online and you're playing at the same time?
You can get a group of people. I play with Castro all the time. But it's kind of a free-for-all game. You know, 100 people drop into a map and then you guys just fight it out.
Well, there's something, I don't know what game it is, but here we have the warehouse crew against the office crew. What game is it, Anthony? Call of Duty.
Oh, yeah.
So like they have a thing going on where they talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
Here at work.
Oh, yeah.
When they're supposed to be working. Well, they talk about their battles of Call of Duty.
That happens. I've kind of played games, you know, my whole life. My older brother played, and so I've just kind of, usually I'll play like a first-person shooter, like Call of Duty or Halo or something like that. And then I also play like FIFA, you know, some soccer, Madden, some football, something like that. But yeah.
We were when at our poker game last night. They had the ESPN channel on. And after the basketball game, I don't know if it's the same channel, but it was the Wichita and I can't remember who was playing. Anyway, once the game was over, then the next was a football game. And I was watching it and I had to take a double take because it was a video game football game.
Yeah.
It was a tournament where two guys were playing EA Sports football game and the commentators were commentating as if it was a real football game.
Oh yeah, it's getting big. And sometimes
like,
you can't tell. Yeah, sometimes you can't tell. Like I know the basketball game, NBA 2K, like I'll have to do a double take because I think it's like a regular NBA game.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
What about you, Rebecca? Do you play a lot of video games or what else? What do you do?
Well, yeah, I actually do play a lot of games.
Oh, you do? Nice.
Yeah, but I grew up playing Halo, not Call of Duty or anything like that.
I grew up playing Halo too.
Yeah.
So a bunch of video games. What, anything else you do that's not disc golf related?
I mean, nothing that really stands out to mind.
Yeah.
Basically just disc golf.
Disc golf and video games, huh? I like it.
That's how it is when you get the bug. It's just all disc golf all the time.
So this is a good question for both of you. We'll go to Rebecca first. So when you became a sponsored player, a pro sponsored player, did the passion for the game change or grow or was it the same?
I'd say the passion was probably the same, but I think having a sponsor really made it so I felt more responsible and felt like I, was representing, I'm representing a company. And so that was more an inspiration for me to really, do my best.
Do you think that put maybe a little pressure on you at all or more just motivation maybe?
It wasn't like, sponsors are putting pressure on me. It was more me putting pressure on myself, really.
That makes sense.
But
go ahead.
But I was just going to say that mental game is really what I've been trying to focus on because that was one of the biggest lessons I learned from last year. Because the mental game, if you don't have it, it's detrimental.
That's like one of the big questions we get here on the Answer Man is that people say, how do I move on from a bad shot or a bad front nine or a bad first round? So what about you, Chris? When you became sponsored, did that change things for you?
I think that when I first kind of started to play tournaments 5, 6, 7 years ago, and I wasn't sponsored, I never really thought about being sponsored because I think, just even 6, 7 years ago, like not near as many people were sponsored. And so that like never crossed my mind, playing advanced and stuff like that. But then when I started to get better and like I had friends, my friend Kyle Webster, he got sponsored by Prodigy, I think in like 2013 or something. And so I was like, hey, like maybe I could get sponsored, but I never really thought about it. Like I just played. My whole goal was to let my play do the talking, and like if I do well, if I win tournaments, somebody will want me to represent them. And so, but when I did get sponsored by Latitude 64, I didn't really, it didn't feel like pressure to me. It like gave me extra motivation and like I was representing something other than myself. But ultimately, like it was back on me. Golf is it's a single player game, and so I liked it. I thrive on it, and I like pressure.
Excellent. Let's see. Another one comes from Eric. He wants to know, how many career aces do you have? How many do you have, Rebecca?
Career aces.
So many, you can't count them all.
I mean,
I have forgotten how many I have.
Me too.
I know.
Really? You have like a lot?
It's right around
What's
50.
the most memorable one?
I couldn't tell you. There was one time where I was playing around with my dad at a course called Monroe, and actually had 2 aces in one round.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I mean, that's probably the most memorable.
Yeah, no kidding.
Ace I've ever had. But other than that, I mean, I think because a lot of my career aces are from when I was a kid, because I don't have a lot of recent ones, so I couldn't tell you how many.
I'm the same way. Like I have since I've gotten better and better, I find that my ace count has gone down and down, and it's probably because for me, I don't play a lot of regular rounds. Like I just do tons of field work and practice.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah.
But I think my first ace was probably, I'll always remember that one because I was with my buddies back in high school, and it was the whole 18 at our course, and I was throwing a Discraft Z Crush, and I said, my crush has a crush on this basket, and I kissed the disc. I kissed the disc, and then I threw it in. And so that was really cool. But I got an ace, I think it was like last week in Arkansas. It was like 420 feet or something like that. I got an ace at the 4 States Open back when I won advanced. And then another time with my buddy Danny Reveal, we were playing a round, and what we would do is we'd throw 2 shots, 2 drives, and then we would have to take the worst one, so it's worst shot. And I think it was like hole 13 in McClellan Park, and I aced the first shot, and we were going nuts, and then I aced the next shot. And so it was one right after the other, and I've never seen that done before. And I was like, I don't think I'll ever see that again.
That's pretty cool.
It was crazy.
You mentioned something in your answer about you do a lot more field work. Take us through just maybe what you do in your field work.
I mean, for me, I'm like a creature of habit, so I kind of do the same things. But usually I'll get to a course. I like to go to Rosedale Park in Kansas City, and there's kind of an open field, but I'll start off by stretching a little bit, getting some putts in, just kind of feeling good. And then I throw like putters first, then I throw mid ranges, then I throw my fairways, and then my distance drives, and then I kind of throw them back and forth. And I work on all different kinds of lines, and I do rollers and forehands and backhands and just everything, because I feel like being consistent is something that I strive for, and I think it helps my game a lot.
How long do you typically stay out there?
It just depends. Like if it's really nice outside, I like to stay out there a while, but it kind of depends. Like if I'm feeling good and like I feel like all my shots are good, I'm like, okay, I don't really need any more time. But I think when I first started doing field work years ago, I would spend 4 or 5 hours, sometimes like a long time, like really working at stuff. But I rarely do that anymore. Usually it's like 2 hours, an hour and a half, something like that, with putting and everything. And sometimes I'll even, after I do some field work, then I'll start throwing on the course and stuff like that. But I feel like I'll get kind of just kind of bored if I'm like doing the same thing. So I kind of make it short and sweet and get the work in. Yeah.
Now, Rebecca, do you do a lot of field work, or you just kind of go play and that's your practice? What kind of your practice routine?
Well, I do a little bit of field work, but I like to go out on a new course, and typically what I'll do is I'll throw a few drives, and then maybe I'll go to the worst one and I'll be like, okay, if this happens, what am I going to do from here?
I like that. That's good. Let's see. This is an interesting question. Jonah wants to know. Chris, Jonah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Since you were sponsored by Latitude 64 last year, and now you're on Team DD, is there any changes to your bag? I can't imagine there'd be many changes.
Not besides my actual bag, like that physical bag. That's changing. But yeah, I mean, I have had some of the same discs in my bag for a couple years, and I think the last new disc that made it in my bag was the Defender. Oh, wow. And that took a while. And so I grow very connected to the molds that I like.
Well, you said you're a creature of habit. So.
Yeah, and I throw those, practicing every day. Like I fall in love with them. And so, if somebody's like, hey, try this. And I'm like, man, I already have a shot for that. I already have a disc for that. So I don't need to try that. It's not going to do it better than it already does. So, no, nothing's changed, but the Explorer is pretty awesome. And the Maverick seems like it might make the bag. Just because I throw St. Pros and they're pretty straight to overstable. And I found that I throw more forehands now, so I don't throw as many flippy discs. Okay. But I feel like I'm going to be playing some different places this year, wooded courses. And sometimes you need more turnovers on wooded courses. Where I'm from in Kansas and Missouri, it's windy and it's open. So you can just throw a hyzer every time. So you just need overstable stuff where I come from.
Now, Rebecca, your bag is obviously completely different.
Yeah, completely different.
How did you figure out what to even try? Did you just ask friends or?
Well, it was a combination of, asking people who knew Latitude really well. I know my dad did a lot of research looking at flight numbers and trying to match them with the disc that I had. And really it's just a lot of trial and error. Just taking a couple discs that are like, oh, this might be comparable to a Force or whatever,
right.
and seeing how that flies. And it's been an adventure, but I think I have like 99% of my bag done.
That's good. That's good. All right, let's go to Matt. Chris, did you teach Kayla to play disc golf, or did she play before y'all were together?
She played
right.
like
maybe we need to have Kayla on here.
Yeah. She played for like 5 or 6 years. Yeah. Before I met her. So she's already has tons of skill. So I'm just working with her forehand right now. That's really what I'm doing, but she's good. She came to Kansas City and we played down under at Rosedale, and she shot 2 under par. And I think they had a mini tournament that day, and I think she would have got like 3rd in Open Men with that score. So she's decent.
Wow, she's over there. She's over there watching us. Maybe we later on maybe we'd have her on here. Here on here to answer a few questions.
Insider information.
Yeah. But he does have a question for both of you. So Rebecca, in the wind, do you ever change your putter? Or do you just, or he says, do you change your putter for the wind, or just the way you throw it, or no change at all?
I usually change the way I throw it depending on what the wind is doing or how strong it is or whatever. Like if it's like a dead headwind, like really booking it, I'll kind of change like how much spin I put on it.
Mm-hmm.
But usually I try to keep my putt consistent, like timing wise. But really, the only thing I'll change is how much spin I'll put on it, because I don't like to change a lot.
What about you, Chris? Same or?
Yeah, I'm pretty much the same. I think one of the biggest keys in general in the wind, drives, putts, whatever, is you want to kind of keep the wind off the bottom of the disc, and so you want the top of the disc kind of fighting that wind, getting knocked down. And so, yeah, I definitely, in more of a headwind or really any kind of wind, I'll put more spin on the disc, concentrate on keeping it flat. And I mean, if it's like some crazy GBO wind, 30 miles an hour, I might pull out my harp and just try to keep it as flat and straight as possible.
I know a lot of people will pull out something like a Suspect as well to putt with, because if it's too much crazy wind. Eric wants to know from Chris, best advice for a fellow lefty. What if you had to adapt your game due to being left-handed?
I mean, if you don't throw a forehand, if all you throw is backhands, having a good turnover would be really advantageous. And but I think I definitely, started to get quite a bit better, made a big jump 2 or 3 years ago when I got a forehand. So having a forehand is definitely advantageous. And for a while there, I only had, maybe a 250-foot, 300-foot forehand, and I would use it, like a felon or something like that, just kind of if I needed a basic hyzer, on a righty hyzer hole. But as times went on, I've learned to throw, flex shots and even flip up hyzer flips and stuff like that. So I think learning the forehand would definitely be advantageous.
Gotcha. Now, Rebecca, pick 3 card mates, 3 women you could play with in a tournament. Who would they be?
Who I want to play with?
Who would you want to play with? Yeah, on your card.
All right. Okay. Definitely Paige.
Okay.
I have never played with Paige.
Oh, yeah.
Lisa Ficus.
Mm-hmm.
She is
She's
wonderful to
nice.
play with.
Yeah.
I love playing with her. And a third, I'd probably say Valerie Jenkins. I had a lot of fun playing with her as well.
I could see that. Now, let's say you're on that card. Does that intimidate you, or do you think that helps elevate your game to have played with those people?
I think a little bit of both.
Okay.
Like a healthy amount of both, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably be. I know I would be super intimidated to play with them.
I think once you kind of get confidence in yourself, you kind of look at it as a challenge, playing with people who have a long career and who have done a lot of great things.
I'll be out. There's been instances where I've been out filming, there'll be Paige around and, obviously Eric and maybe Ricky Wysocki. And I'll do the filming, and then there's a low time or something like that. And I'll be like, hey, let me throw something. And then all of a sudden I'll be like, oh my God, like Ricky and Paige are right there. And I'm getting ready to throw it in front of them. Yeah, they're going to like critique my form and say, he's an idiot. Nah, they would never say that. Matt wants to know specifically, does cold weather affect discs? Do you guys feel like that cold weather really affects the disc? And if so, what adjustments do you make?
I feel like it affects me.
Yeah.
I mean, the discs become stiffer. So And usually when it's colder, you're wearing more clothes. So I feel like I don't throw as far. Discs act more overstable. But yeah, like putters, they can get really stiff, you know. So sometimes I'll even switch to a softer putter.
What about you, Rebecca? Do you make any changes when it's super cold outside?
I don't know if there's really any changes that I make. I agree with him with how it affects me more than I think it affects the disc. Especially when my hands are cold, I find it really difficult to
hand warmers
to throw. Yeah.
I
brought hand warmers this year. Made that mistake last year.
Yep.
It doesn't affect me at all because I won't play in the cold, so I'm good with that. Patrick asks, what critical skill have you had to work the hardest at to compete at the pro level?
For me, I think it would be putting. And that's always a constant work in progress. I find that I've always been pretty solid off the tee, but my putting wasn't that great. And once I started to work on it, I started to get better, you know, and you shave strokes off your game. And it gives you confidence. You don't have to throw as close to a basket, or you don't have to throw the tightest line. You can, you know, be like Ricky and land 50 feet away and then bang the putt, or imagine you are going to do that. So it kind of relaxes you, you know, and, but yeah, putting was hard to work at, and it still is. But if you make putts, every tournament I've ever played that I make a lot of putts, especially putts inside the circle, like I'm going to do well at. And that's the name of the game, is putting.
What about you, Rebecca?
I agree. Putting was definitely one of my biggest struggles from last year. I felt like I definitely improved as time went on, but competing on that level, it was just me putting so much pressure on myself. And putting is, I mean, when you're 12 feet away and you're not confident you're going to make it, you know.
It's not a good feeling.
That's not a good feeling at all.
Not a good feeling, especially when you don't make it. When you don't have the confidence and then you don't make it.
Right.
So do you guys like to listen to music while you play?
I listen to music almost all the time I'm playing, besides in rounds.
What type of music you listen to?
Man, I listen to a lot of different stuff. Anything from like Jack Johnson and Incubus to Bryson Tiller and Migos, and just like anything you can imagine. It's but usually I'll have kind of a set playlist before rounds. Stuff that gets me kind of pumped up, like Tech 9, stuff like that gets me kind of in the mode.
I got you. What about you, Rebecca?
I've tried listening to music a couple times, but I don't know. I don't think it's for me.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's not for everyone. Let's see. So this would be another interesting question, which I knew these questions would come along. This is for you, Chris.
I did too.
What are the differences between being on Team Latitude 64 and Team DD? Now, maybe we should let everybody know, our listeners know. So last year, Chris Clemons was on Team Latitude 64. Now, a lot of you might think, well, aren't you guys all kind of the same company? Well, yes and no. We all have the discs come from the same factory. We all have our different molds, and we tell them what we want to see in our molds. And Latitude, the factory, creates that for us. But Latitude 64 is also Latitude, the brand. And so there are 3 separate brands: Dynamic Disc, Latitude 64, and Westside. For whatever reason, Latitude 64 was not moving forward with Chris Clemons, and we at Dynamic Disc said, no, we don't want Chris to go anywhere. We want him still in the family. So we obviously made that offer for Chris and brought him on to the family. But I don't know that there are a lot of difference other than different people that you'll not, I don't want to say report into, but you'll kind of be accountable to and let people know what's going on with your game and checking in and stuff.
And I've also worked for Dynamic Discs for the last, I think it's been 2 years in Kansas City. Yeah. And so I worked for the store there. And so I've already been really close with, you know, tons of people like Robert and like you and like Rusco and Pete Cashin and Josh Harvey at DDKC. So it was really like no big change. Just, kind of different people I report to. But I mean, like, you know, making the switch, it just feels right. Yeah. You know, I'm in the Midwest, you know, being in Kansas, Missouri, Arkansas, and like DD is right here too. Yeah. And so I work for them. And so it just seemed like the logical thing to do to me.
Let's see, Rebecca, I'm always curious about how the ladies approach tournaments mentally. Would you say your pre-tournament goals vary based on events? This is from Evan. I don't know that you would approach it any different than any other competitor. You just want to do your best, I would assume.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we all say about, we want to have more women in the sport. We want to have more women playing. What are your thoughts on all that as far as trying to get more women to play the sport?
Trying to get more women to play?
Yeah.
That is a tough one. Because I'm friends with people who, with women who have recently started playing or, haven't been playing for that long.
Is there anything that they say that they wish would be different that they think would allow for more women to play, or?
I'm actually not entirely sure because it's weird because I've been in the game for so long.
I'm just thinking that,
for me to say, what I wouldn't know what a woman would want just starting out because I really don't know, but I don't have an answer.
That's understandable, especially since you said your father played, so it was kind of like disc golf was the thing.
I've always been kind of in the game, so I wouldn't know what to tell a beginner.
Sure, I got you. All right, let's see. Eric has another question. Favorite thing to eat before and after. So what do you typically, like, let's say it's a 2-day, 4-round tournament. It's Saturday, day 1. What are you eating for breakfast?
I it just depends on that first day, whatever I'm eating. I might go to a coffee shop and get like a granola bar or something like that, or cook at home. Maybe some eggs, like a breakfast burrito, something like that. But if I play well that first day,
it's donuts and pizza?
No. I'm going to eat the exact same thing.
A little superstitious going on, huh?
Very superstitious. And so if I don't play well that first day, I'm going to try to do everything the opposite of what I did.
So you're going to tell the barista or whatever?
Yeah.
No latte now. I want something different because it didn't do so good.
Exactly. Huh? If I had a black coffee, I would give me some cream or something with it.
What about you, Rebecca? What do you eat before?
Well, I'm not a big breakfast person.
Okay.
So typically before a tournament, I try to grab a smoothie or something light, and then I'll just pack a bunch of snacks with me and eat those during the round. But because typically the women tee off early in the morning, and I don't like to eat that early. So yeah,
7:30.
Yeah. And so in between the rounds, I'm assuming probably something light as well because you don't want something heavy sitting in your stomach. But is there anything in particular that you make sure that you have?
I like Jimmy John's.
Okay.
I'll eat Jimmy John's in between rounds. It's pretty light, light, good sandwich. Makes you feel good.
Yeah. What about you, Rebecca?
I just try to pack little prepackaged little snacks with me.
She's smart.
All right. Let's see. Rebecca, you have a this is from David. Rebecca, you have a very unique run-up. Tell everyone how you came up with it.
Well,
okay.
I think my run-up just stems from me, being a kid and trying to aim at things.
Okay.
So I would just, I would physically aim with it with my arm out in front of me, and it worked. And as time went on, I just never stopped doing it. And I guess I have noticed that I'm only, one of very few people who actually do that.
That's good, though.
Hey, but if it works for you, it works.
It works for me. The only reason I do it is because that's how I aimed when I was a kid.
Right.
Someone said, is it true you are a former world record holder?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. I broke the 10 and under girls world distance record.
Nice.
Through a leopard, 246 and a half feet.
Very nice. Very good. Very good job.
10?
Yes.
Wow. That's awesome. Let's see. We got some. I skipped some questions here. Oh, for Chris, do you get sick of being called a cheater lefty?
I knew that one would come up. No.
And who has the best lefty forehand roller in Kansas City?
I knew that one would come up too. Jonah Green. He's got a good lefty forehand roller.
He's the one that asked the question.
Yeah, he literally throws lefty forehand rollers all the time. But I feel like if people are calling me a cheater lefty, then I'm usually beating them. So I don't really
sounds
care.
like sour grapes, that type of question.
Exactly.
Okay, so Mark asks, what is the most beautiful aspect of disc golf in your eyes? Wow. He's getting all...
That's deep.
Deep, yeah.
Well, you could look at it like the physical things. So like nature, like going to Maple Hill and stuff like that. You look at it and it's like, man, this is amazing. But for me, within disc golf, I feel like it's kind of a metaphor for life and like your approach to life, and that like if you're like a calm person and you kind of take things in stride, like in your life, you can apply that to disc golf and vice versa. And so I think that's a really beautiful thing. It can teach you a lot about yourself, playing golf. And so, yeah, I'm a pretty calm person in life and kind of take things in stride, and I'm optimistic. And so I've kind of been able to carry that over into playing golf.
What about you, Rebecca? What's some of the beautiful things you see in disc golf?
Well, I find that the communities that you come across, and they're usually tight-knit and supportive, and, you don't have to pay a bunch of money to play this game. You can bring your friends, your family, whatever out and just have a good time, just enjoying the outdoors, playing disc golf.
Yeah. Let's say, okay, so a lot of our listeners, or it seems that we get a lot of newbies that discover our show. What's a piece of advice, Rebecca, that you give to someone that's just starting out with disc golf? What's something that you always tell them?
Learn the basics.
Okay. And
always
what are the basics for you?
Down, like, being able to throw a straight shot or getting the grip down, a lot of times, because I've went out with people, brand spanking new, and they want to throw as hard as they can and do all these things. And I'm like, take a deep breath, let's learn the fundamentals of it first and get that down. And then you can build off of that, and that'll make you a better player in the future.
Gotcha. What about you, Chris?
I think that one thing you can do, especially like younger kids when they show a lot of promise, and maybe their parents kind of push them, I think you always want to remember to have fun, because that's why we play this game. And sometimes, if you do get caught up, especially if you're new, if you do, search YouTube and find all these videos on how to do a proper forehand and proper putting, you can get kind of overwhelmed. So I think, with the basics, like you always want to remember to have fun, because that's going to keep you coming back for more. And find friends who you can play with.
What do you do? Okay, so I hear what you're saying, fun, and I know a lot of people say that, but let's say it's after round one and you didn't do at all like you thought you wanted to do. How do you mentally get ready for round number two? Everybody says put the past behind you, but is there anything specific that you do that helps you get ready for that second round? After a bad round?
I think that maybe not specifically, like there's not really anything I tell myself, but I just know that with all the work that I've put in, all the practice that I do, I know that the bad shots are going to be kind of few and far between, and sometimes you have bad rounds. You're just going to make bad decisions, or just not make some putts, or just get bad breaks. And so I usually, a lot of my friends will tell me this, a lot of my buddies, if I have a bad round, they'll be like, oh, he had reasons, there was a spit here or this and that. And so I'm trying to be optimistic. Sure. I'm trying to be like, maybe it wasn't necessarily my fault for throwing that bad shot, but sometimes I will recognize that, if I do throw a bad shot, but I just know that I can come back and, throw even better the next round. Anything you do specifically, Rebecca?
I don't think there's anything specific that I do either. It's more just, using that first round as a learning opportunity and just staying positive and doing the best you can possibly do that second round. I mean, that's all you can do.
Excellent. All right, guys. Well, thank you guys again for coming into the studio and doing this episode with us. I'm sure we'll hear a lot more about your touring plans and what you do out there. If you guys want to follow Chris Clemons, he has an Instagram account called Clemonade.
Clemonade DD. Dynamic disc.
There you go. Clemonade DD. So it's CLEMONADEDD. And of course, I'll put a link to it in the description for the particular episode. And then you can just search for his name, Chris Clemons, on Facebook.
Yep.
Follow him there. Rebecca has an Instagram, Rebecca R. Cox. And you can, again, I'll put a link out there for you to follow. And of course, on Facebook, she's known as Rebecca Cox Disc Golf. Yes. So you can follow that page as well. Anything else you guys want to make sure people know about you, or any parting words, or? Where did the Clemonade? Is that just?
I figured that would come up.
Yeah.
Specifically, well, I've had a lot of nicknames over my life, but Clemonade kind of arose with my buddy Kyle Webster, who's a captain of Westside Discs.
Yeah.
And he just started saying, "Hey, Clemonade."
He just all of a sudden just said it.
Yeah, and so then it kind of just stuck, and so everybody started calling me that, and I was like, I like that, and as I've gotten, more recognizable and stuff in disc golf, I'm like, it's kind of nice to have a nickname, something that separates you from other people.
They need to if you get a disc with a design, they need to put like the Kool-Aid Man, but put your face in it and call it Clemonade. The hair, and then the hair popping out of the top of the.
That would be interesting. I'm working with Kevin. We're working
on something. I figured, okay, or just maybe just like a glass. It looks like a glass of lemonade or something. I don't know. Is that? Am I?
Kyle, he made one time, and it was like a glass of lemonade with my hair. He did the Photoshop, and I was like, that's pretty cool.
Okay, you guys got to go find him on Instagram and Facebook, and you'll know what we're talking about with the hair.
Yeah,
because he's got quite a.
Rebecca's got nice hair too. Well, I think we might be the best hair.
You might be.
Robert said, I don't know. He said we don't have much to beat with you and EMAC. That's what Robert said, so take that up with him.
Yeah, that's Robert for you. All right, guys, we'll let you get back to going out there and doing some shopping for discs. And again, thanks for coming on the show. And we'll look forward to learning more about you as the disc golf season goes. And thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.